All right, welcome everybody to Gaming Gaiden. I'm your host, Mike, along here with my co-host.
Andrew, everybody, how's it going?
All right, and today we have a special guest. We're really branching out on our side stories of gaming. We have featured today RetrogradeTom, who is a Twitch streamer.
Hello, everyone. Hey, thanks for having me.
All right, thanks for
Thanks for
coming
coming
out,
on.
man. We really
Yeah.
appreciate it. This
Sure,
is
sure.
uh, this is a topic I think I was a little excited to sort of explore. Obviously, while Twitch is quite well known, right, and streaming is well known, it's still a relatively young approach to gaming, and it's a young profession. So
Sure.
let's get right into it. Let's ask you a little bit about this. How did the channel come to be? How did you get started with this? What made you decide to go ahead and start a career with streaming?
Right. It still is weird to refer to it as a career, but
Mm-hmm.
right, I know what you mean. I can't remember exactly. I think I started going on Twitch because of Hearthstone. There's a card game called Hearthstone.
Oh yeah, I sunk a lot of money into that one.
Right. And Twitch was where you could watch players who were really good at it, so you could learn how to. Right. So I was learning how to learn their strategies and get better at the game.
Mm-hmm.
And then I somehow wandered over into there's a game for PS2 called or for PlayStation 2 called Retro. So a bunch of streamers, well, not that many at the time, but people were using that as like a retro category. So people could find them playing old games on Twitch.
Okay.
This was probably 2015, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um,
So that's when you started, right? That's
yeah,
your first broadcast.
yeah, 2015, and really there wasn't that many people, right? And it looked fun. There was one streamer who's like really popular retro streamer, Macaw45. I remember watching him doing just crazy weird stuff on there, and I was like,
Mm-hmm.
there's weird stuff I want to play too. So really kind of inspired by him and a few others that were there. And then not many people were doing it, so I was like, all right, I'll try to do this, right? I talk to myself when I play games. I'm weird like that.
it,
um
Hmm.
it
right,
works
like,
out well for the format.
right, yeah. If you talk to yourself, you could be a streamer, because you really should be talking the whole time. So if you have that ability, then it's really good for that.
Mm-hmm.
So I was really nervous. Like
Mm-hmm.
my first streams, I was just playing Tony Hawk, no mic, no cam, just playing Tony Hawk, and I was still nervous.
Uh-huh.
And then like I slowly sort of moved on to like I think the other first games I played was like Kingsfield for PS1 and Seiken Densetsu 3, some JRPG on the Super Nintendo.
Yeah, no,
And
that's the secret of mana that we never got hold of until the collection on the Switch recently.
right, they remade
So,
that one in 3D, and I don't know if they released the
oh,
original one
there's
still.
that too. Yeah,
Right. Oh, it was released. That was released. The original.
yeah.
Okay.
There's on the Switch. There's something called the Collection of Mana, and it's the three Seiken Densetsu games, which were called Final
Yeah.
Fantasy Adventure here on the Game Boy, and then
Yep.
Secret of Mana,
Yeah.
and then Secret of Mana 3 we never got.
Right.
So, which would have been
Right.
Secret of Mana 2 in American numbering. Yeah,
Right.
but
So
they
yeah.
finally did that, the 16-bit version.
Yeah. Right. So like a lot of I wanted to play a lot of those games that
Mm-hmm.
like were kind of rare, like fan translated games. I didn't see a lot of those being played. So that was the original intention, just play games that I didn't see on there, and I just started doing it and just kept doing it. Kind of got found by there's a website that sells old. They used to sell old games. They were known for selling old games called
Mm-hmm.
GOG, Good Old Games.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
yeah,
I
I know
mean,
about it. Yeah.
yeah.
So they had a stream team, and probably first few weeks of streaming, they came in and like raided my stream, which means a raid on Twitch is you send all your people to from your channel to another channel.
Mm-hmm.
So they raided, and it was like a not a huge group, but bigger than I had. I think I had two or three viewers, something
Mm-hmm.
one maybe one viewer, and they raided, and then I ended up streaming on their channel, and that really kind of helped me learn to stream in front of people.
Mm-hmm.
because that kind of gave me a little bit of an audience. So I had practice with that,
Yeah.
and then
So
it
that's
just
cool, man.
grew
No,
and grew from there.
anybody listening. So like, if anybody out there is interested in doing Twitch streaming, we're going to talk about that. But like for those who are very well familiar with it, if you have an audience and you can help other people grow their audience, here's a perfect example. Please do it. A
Right.
rising tide lifts all boats, man.
Right. Yeah, that's really a big pillar of Twitch, supporting others and kind of being selfless. If you can support others and help others, that also helps you. It helps everybody. It's sort of like that kind of a thing. Helping others helps everybody. Well, that's like an old school mentality, at least. I kind of have like an old school mentality, I feel sometimes.
That's
Just
suitable for the retro category.
yeah, just be selfless and help others. And that's always kind of what works out best. I found.
That's cool. No, I mean it's great because you were talking about these games. Like basically it seems like you had carved out a nice little niche of what interested you, and that's pretty much how I came across your channel. It was like, these are the games that interest me, and so there you go. Because I wasn't gonna sit there and watch Call of Duty for 3 hours.
Right. Right. I think if you're lucky and you have this interest, and like I think that's where it starts. You have sort of an interest in playing certain games that other people don't play or that other people don't know about.
Yeah.
You can carve out a niche audience that is like, oh, that's really interesting. I've never seen this. I've never seen that. And that definitely helped me in multiple ways. Like when I started, and then what I eventually moved to was like a lot of PC games, old PC games that also weren't really being played very much. Probably around 2017.
Mm-hmm. All those the beautiful point and click adventure games, which are seeing more attention now than I feel like in other years. It's nice.
Yeah. It's a lot more common now. But even PC is still kind of a lesser known category, like older. There's a lot of really obscure, really interesting games. That's eventually kind of what I moved to. It's kind of what I do now, or I do a lot of different stuff, but that's like a strong focus. That's what I really like. Old weird computer games.
Yeah.
That's what you grew up playing.
Yeah. I mean, I grew up playing, Sierra games, adventure games, but yeah, a lot of weird PC stuff because we always had computers, like we always had an old PC, and we would always upgrade every 4 or 5 years or whatever. Right. So yeah, I grew up with that stuff, so I had a nostalgia for it, and I saw how interesting it really can get. From like, there was like old games on there was like floppy disk magazine that you would get like these random weird, it was called the Big Blue Disc. And I think my grandfather was into that, and that got my dad into it. But there would be like weird animations with like a stick figure that was getting like mauled by different traps on that. And there would be like a darts game or like a racing game, and they would come out every month. I think Big Blue Disc, I believe John Romero from id Software also worked there, and maybe like Carmack worked there too. Right. Yeah. So yeah, they were making weird games and weird software, like print software on these like old discs, and like that's something I like to stream. I've streamed a couple of those. But yeah, I grew up with weird PC things, so that's why I like it.
Yeah, that reminds me. I was going to ask you about the origin of the name there, and I was curious if it's got anything to do with King's Quest.
RetrogradeTom?
Yeah.
That name? No.
No? Okay.
Does it sound like King's Quest, or what do you mean?
Well, let me tell you a little story about King's Quest, right? So when I was a kid, I played a lot of these games. My grandfather was big into having a computer despite really having no aptitude for it. So like all the time when there was a problem, he would call up this guy that he worked with and put him on the phone with me when I was, I don't know, 6 years old to be like, what do I press? CD/, right?
Right. Yeah.
TIR. So like I learned how to use DOS on the phone with some guy that my grandfather had worked with. And he used to get games from people. they would give us the floppies, and I started with King's Quest. I sat down with my grandfather to play that, and we got pretty far along, but like those games are brutal, man. So there was this one puzzle with Rumpelstiltskin. Do you remember Rumpelstiltskin showing up in King's Quest 1? Okay. So spoiler alert for anybody at home. I'm going to ruin this puzzle for you. Rumpelstiltskin shows up and he's like, you got to say my name. So naturally I'm like, all right, it's Rumpelstiltskin. And that's not it.
Right.
And so I'm like, what the hell happened here? What could it be? We eventually had to get a hint book for this game. And at that time, it was like a little white booklet, and you used a highlighter to reveal the clues. And the first thing said, like, you're right, it's Rumpelstiltskin. And then the next thing was like, but that's not enough. And it's like, okay. So I tried it backwards or whatever. And then the final reveal was to say, like, it has to be in retrograde. So you had to write the alphabet A to Z and Z to A and match up the letters and write Rumpelstiltskin that way. So I was curious if maybe since those games are kind of like your forte, maybe that's what influenced you.
No, I wish it was that cool.
You can take that. I won't tell anybody.
I might. Yeah, I remember those little hint books. They were like, I think they were or the ones I had were yellow, and yeah, you'd like reveal it with a little red thing.
Okay, yeah, that was the later edition, because the ones that you revealed with the highlighters, they would get all messed up because it would get wet from the highlighter.
Oh, you meant
but then they went to the red to reveal the text with the little film window.
Oh, you meant a real highlighter. Okay.
I meant a real physical highlighter like you would use for study.
That puzzle's super messed up, but I'm weird because I even kind of I just like that old messed up Sierra stuff, how all their games just mess with you, right? And then eventually when you get it, it's just so satisfying. But no, it was really just at the time you wanted retro in your name. Yeah. So because there weren't a lot of retro streamers. And then I was...
Oh, yeah.
Right. So then I looked up, like, what are some... I couldn't get RetroTom. It's kind of, like, embarrassing just, like, thinking about this process, because I think I would have gone about it differently now. Or I probably overthink it as well. Like, it probably doesn't matter that much. But what's a name with the retro that I can get, like, the Instagram, the Twitter, the Twitch, right? Like, all the accounts, right? So I just looked up a bunch of names with words with retro in it. And and then retrograde was like, okay, that's different. I can get all the accounts, right? So that was it.
Hey,
that was
it. Works, man.
Yeah. I mean, it worked out at the time because, but now you don't really it depends on what you want to do. You don't really want to limit yourself by saying, like, I'm retro gamer, John, right? Because what if you don't want to do that anymore? Yeah. Right. That limits you, especially like business wise. If you want to be known as someone who can, a lot of money in streaming comes from sponsorships, or at least for me. So if someone says, oh, you do retro, so we don't really want you to play our game. Right.
It's not a product we can move actively, this retro material.
Right. It's a very limiting. So if anybody is thinking of making an account, like, don't limit yourself with your name, because it can have an effect.
Interesting.
All right. That's very good advice.
Yeah. But that's where the name came from. Just, you wanted retro in your name at the time.
All right. Well, let's get into this discussion. Andrew, why don't you take this the first question?
Well, actually, can I go off script a little bit first, Mike?
Of course.
Okay. Dude, I'm an elder millennial, right? I've been gaming my entire life. Mike knows this in pretty much detail at this point. I'm down with watching YouTube. Oh, I just don't get Twitch, man. Like, why? We just left appointment television where you had to tune in at 8 p.m. or whatever for the thing, because now we have streaming. We can watch it whenever. But the kiddies, Gen Z kids, are going fucking back to appointment TV with Twitch. Like, what the fuck is this? I know you probably make a good amount of money on this, and I get it. Or you make, I saw you have like 14,000 subscribers, so like you're probably doing okay. So, and you figured it out. I'm not trying to I'm not trying to diss it
I
or
know.
anything. I just don't get it. I don't get it at all. Like when I watched that South Park episode, that was me. Like, wow, the kids, like the younger kids on South Park are just watching people play video games. To this day, I only watch like how to do a combo or like a strategy guide kind of type of thing. I don't just watch somebody play. It's kind of beyond me. I know it's like a bunch of questions all at once, but if you could tackle any of those.
No,
The question is, okay, Twitch, what's the deal with that? No, but like, is it mainly Gen Z kids that are just kind of okay with appointment TV in a sense? Like, what's the deal with that? Why does no one want? Why is there no? Okay? That's the first question. Is it mainly Gen Z kids that are okay with appointment television? Let's go with that.
So Twitch is a lot of different people.
Okay.
I'm in the retro niche, right? So I have mostly older people.
Right.
I have sometimes some kids come in and you can tell they're kids because of the way they type. And you know, sometimes that's really annoying, like not to be rude, but sometimes that's really annoying. And sometimes they're just nice, right? They're just nice younger kids.
Yeah.
I think so. I can't really speak on the bigger channels. I think even on the bigger channels, like the Gen Z kids, it's the interactivity of it. They want to type something in chat, have their streamer see it, and read it and get it. It's really the interactivity. That's
Senpai
the main
noticed
thing.
me.
Right. So, or that's one big
got
component. Yeah. Senpai noticed me. Right.
Okay.
They donate like $3 on a big channel. It reads out their message and the streamer reacts to it. Or there's things where you can play a sound on someone's channel and can scare them, or just it can be a funny sound. They can play a fart sound or something, right? While someone's streaming, right? And then they can be like scared or react to that, right? So it's an interactivity you don't get with right? You didn't get that in old TV where you had to tune in at 8:30 to watch Seinfeld, right?
Okay.
Yeah. So this is like direct access to your favorite celebrities.
Yeah. Right. And some of these people are really popular. I wouldn't even say I'm would be considered, I think, a micro influencer, right? So I'm like not even big on the scale, right? Some of these big people with millions of followers, that's people they talk about in school and all that for the younger kids. And they say, this guy read my message, right? Or this guy said hello to me, right? So I think that's a big appeal for the younger kids. But I think Twitch in general is just, if you are, especially for like if you're playing a game, like if you're playing, let's say, whatever, Baldur's Gate 3, right? New game that came out. But you don't just want to sit there and play that. You can have a stream on and be watching someone play some weird game, right? Or like if you have two monitors, I have three. I don't know how many you guys have. But it's a different form of like keeping your brain engaged, right? Like, can play a game and watch a stream at the same time. It doesn't matter if you pay attention to the whole stream. It's just something you can also do alongside like playing a game or doing your chores. And, most people stream for like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 hours. So you don't have to be there.
Yeah, they're really long shifts, man.
Right. You don't have to be there for the whole.
Okay, so the kiddies are not watching it like a TV show, mostly, you think?
That's not how I watch Twitch, right? Like I'll have it on.
Okay.
Right. I'll have it on and I'll do my dishes, or I'll play a game and I'll have somebody on, right? I don't think, some people do, but I think the appeal is like interactivity, and also it's entertainment that you don't have to be attached to. You don't have to watch it like a TV show. It can just be background noise while you're doing other things. All right. You can, while you're at work, right? While you're at work for 8 hours, put some idiot on playing some old Sierra game and getting frustrated, right? And like have that get you through your day, right? So, but Twitch is so big. There's so many different channels, so many different people, so many different things going on. There's shows that you will watch the whole thing because someone's doing something just crazy and interesting, and they have a big personality. Or there's just background shows too. So
that leads into another question I have, which is about Twitch, right? In particular. So like Twitch seems to be the dominant force, right, in streaming. But obviously we've seen other players in the arena. So what other options could be a reasonable alternative if someone wants to stream and reach an audience?
So I just want to say, like, I'm not an expert at any of this. Like, I'm pretty,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to be like, I'm not like the be all end all of content and streaming, but in my opinion, you either do Twitch or you do YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You do YouTube, because YouTube is where the audience is. And really, I think if you're going to do anything now, like, you make a strong YouTube channel, like you work on that. And then after and you do both, you really do both. But YouTube is, you really want to have a strong presence there. And Twitch can, like, if you can bring that audience to Twitch, you're in a really good spot.
So you're saying that you would maintain both?
Yeah, because Twitch has the community, it has the streaming experience for the viewer and for the streamer perfected, right? They have that perfected, and for whatever reason, like, nobody else can replicate that. YouTube is like huge. They have a big audience. I mean, they're like the #1 video platform, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
I watch it more than any other streaming thing.
right. But their streaming experience is bad, right? It's like nobody seems to understand why, or I don't know if it's bad. Like, I haven't really used it, but from what everyone tells me, like, it's like the chat is
not as good is all that matters.
Right.
Like, if it could be, if something is, A+ and you come in with an A-, people are going to choose the A+. So,
right.
Right.
There's streamers that, like, leave to other platforms, and they're like, they get paid millions of dollars to go to other platforms, and then they come back to Twitch because that's, like, it's the best way to watch a stream and interact with the community. And nobody else seems to be able to replicate that. There's like new sites that are trying to, like, basically copy Twitch 1-to-1, but they still don't have those millions and millions and millions, or however many, I don't even know, of users that Twitch has, and it's just so hard to bring those onto another platform. And YouTube could do it, right? But the experience has to be.
But YouTube kind of established itself as the video on demand service, which is something, right? You end up archiving your videos there, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm super lazy with that too. I mean, I should, but it's like, people want to watch. See, on YouTube, people don't really want to watch, like, VODs. Like, some people do. I mean, I've actually gotten a lot of viewers from YouTube, but on YouTube, people want to watch YouTube content, and then they just seem to want to watch, like, live stream content on Twitch, just because, right? The experience for that on Twitch is awful, and but anyway, I'm sorry. I think I diverged from your question, but
No.
No. It's really like,
cool.
Let's talk about these options and alternatives, right? Why is
Right.
Twitch such this dominant force? And, you basically addressed it. They're doing it better than anyone else.
Yeah.
Again, being like my age group, and we might be all a similar age group, actually, I don't know, but, like, the elder millennial crowd, like, I'm 39 right now. Like, I'm young enough to know what it is. I've watched it a little bit, but it's just one of those things that also made me feel old, because it's just like, what? Like, I get YouTube. What? I don't know, man. But the interactivity that you mentioned, that really does make sense to me, I guess. And I mean, but PewDiePie was the first one to really, like, get this off, right? Like, he really kicked off the whole thing as far as into, like, the stratosphere of popularity, right?
Twitch?
Just gaming, like, streaming games in general, right?
Yeah, I think he was on YouTube. I don't know.
Honestly,
Was he on
don't
YouTube?
really know.
Pre-Twitch. Okay, I had to ask my cousin, just like I need like the basics explained to me. I asked my cousin, who's like 22. I was like, why do people watch it? And he was just like, well, guys like PewDiePie are just funny while they play games. I was like, all right, I don't know. I guess that's. It's just I found it
sounds to me like
interesting.
you just need to find the right niche. That's all.
Yeah.
Like,
It's
I
true.
didn't really watch it. The reason I asked Tom to be here, right, is that I found his channel and I like his content, and it suits me. I don't really watch anyone else, and simple as that.
Yeah, I think a lot of the channels are just not for everyone. Even I don't really watch a ton of people, right? Like there's some people I really will watch every single night, but then there's, tens of thousands that I don't watch. I won't watch. I don't really want to watch. I'd rather do something else.
No.
So yeah, it's probably harder to find someone you want to hear talk to for like 8 hours. But if you can find that, it can be pretty engaging, and it can help you get through a work day or whatever like that.
Yeah,
I'm going to
it's
try
not
it
really
more.
about the
I'm going to try it again.
platform. It's about the specific content, right? And the person delivering the content, And
Yeah.
so like if I look at all the stuff that I've watched on Twitch, it's ended up being that I just go back and forth between three things. One is a sumo channel.
All right.
The other is RetrogradeTom. And then
Thank you.
the other one, which started me on the whole notion of potentially watching someone play games rather than just playing them myself, was the Cacho, Game Center CX.
Yeah.
So there's always like a Game Center channel running on Twitch. They get shut down, they move to something else. And I think the one currently is called like not GCCX, just in case anyone thinks it is GCCX, and it's got like a little Groucho mask on or whatever. But yeah, so like that's the stuff that suits me. But anytime something gets pushed on that front page, I'm like, oh God, please stop. But just get me to what I want to see.
Yeah, I think that's something else that Twitch kind of does poorly is that YouTube does so well, is that discovery thing. Like YouTube, if you watch a video, there's probably going to be at least one video that YouTube recommends to you after that you want to watch, at least in my experience, right? Like YouTube can kind of tell. Like that's why I think YouTube is like, you got to be doing that, along with your Twitch. I don't do it enough, right? Like I don't do it at all, right? But you really should do that because they have that down. But on Twitch, they're still figuring that out. They're still figuring out, like, if you like this channel, you'll like this channel. It's getting a lot better, but
are there people waiting for you? Like do you sign on at the same time every day, basically? And there are people waiting for you to sign on?
Yeah, I mean, you do, like, I have a Discord, and you do like an announcement there. I do like an announcement on like, Twitter. I don't know if anyone uses that, but you get a notification from Twitch that, this person's streaming. And yeah, you try to have a schedule. That's a good idea typically.
Yeah.
So people kind of have a general idea when you're going to be on. And then, people will, I don't know if they're waiting. Sometimes they are. Yeah. I think for most streamers, like if you've become part of their, their work day or their day off, or when they're doing chores or whatever they're doing, you're at the gym. Yeah. I mean, they'll be there and be like, where are you? Right. Where is he? He's lazy.
Need you in my life.
Yeah. They'll harass you. They'll be like, you're lazy. Where are you? And like, oh yeah, I had to, pick up my kid or whatever. So yeah.
Okay.
So let's get into some of the nitty gritty of the actual work that you do, right? Because I mean, a lot of work goes into this. So first off, what sort of prep work are you doing to pick your games?
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing I do enjoy, like looking through games and trying to find interesting games. So yeah, part of it is just kind of finding various websites that, like we'll talk about like new fan translations or like interesting games, like lists that have interesting lists of games. So yeah, sometimes I'll just troll websites like that. I mean, there's people that, since I like doing old PC games, there's people that actually get them working like on modern computers, and you just kind of see like what they've released. I mean, I have a bunch of old games. Like I have like 200 PS2 games. I mean, I just have my collection, right? At one point, a viewer was moving into a tiny house, and they had PC games, and they offered to let me buy like 300 games just for the shipping cost or something, or like old PC games.
Nice.
And that kind of like kicked off me playing old PC games, because then I got all of those and I just saw all these crazy things and started streaming them. And that might have been like what got me partnered on Twitch. But yeah, just cool. Looking through my collection and just having just looking through I don't know, just looking through all the cool games that are out there.
I mean,
And
there's so much stuff, and the
Having that,
PC has always been kind of a wild west because there's no like,
yeah,
you don't have to pay for licensing to a particular platform holder, so you can just kind of put stuff out there if it works.
yeah, I mean, one of the weirdest games that was in that collection was this game called Capri, which is this adventure game made of just like tens of thousands or like thousands and thousands of photos of the island of Capri, like just like, and you move through it, and they got people on the street to like talk, like give you quests and things. And then they also put like a time travel story in there, and it's just like Italian people like saying like take these tools, you will need them, and like weird stuff like that. And right,
All right.
so
And for those who are listening, right, you want to go back and check it later. I believe that is on the YouTube archives.
it is, but it's a horrifying performance that I wish didn't exist, but I can't delete it. Yeah,
At least they
I
can see
wouldn't.
the game.
Yeah, you could watch that, but I need to
So
replay that game.
I mean, how many
Um,
other people were streaming Capri?
I don't think anybody at the time. I think there are videos of it now, but I may have been the first one to do that one.
Mm.
And there are two more games in the series, but yeah, as far as prep work, I mean, you also kind of have to combine it with if you want it to be a business. This is like the sad part
Mm.
of it.
Mm-hmm.
If you're really, you got to think about what do people want to watch as well, right?
Yeah.
Not what just do you think is cool, or what do you want to play, but
Mm-hmm.
what do you, if you're not just doing it for fun, if you know, need to make money with it, you kind of have to notice patterns, right? As you stream.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to be successful, you got to look at the patterns. Like, what do people like? What do they not like? And you kind of have to figure out why. Like, why is that? Is that because
Mm-hmm.
of me? A lot of times it's I think because of like the streamer.
Right.
So you think about, what are you good at? And what are you bad at?
Mm-hmm.
And what's a game in that genre that you're good at? What's something new in that genre that you can, try out, right? You always want to be testing stuff. You don't want to just stay in one place unless that works for you. But if you're a variety streamer, which is one of the most difficult things to do, because if you can just play Fortnite all day, then you're good. But
Mm-hmm.
if you're a variety streamer, you got to keep giving variety, and you got to
Mm-hmm.
notice, like, what do people want to actually watch you do, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the biggest challenge.
finding your niche like you have with the point and click stuff.
Right. Yeah. So I noticed, at first I thought that point and clicks were horrible for my stream, because I was like, this boring. No one wants to watch me walk around and not know how to solve a puzzle. But
but then they came.
but then it turns out, I think that's one of the things I'm best at.
Mm-hmm.
Like just saying, just narrating an adventure game, someone going on some absurd adventure, or like talking about how much I like the old adventure games, or that it turns out to be like one of my favorite things to do on the stream. And I think it's one of the things that, right, is best for my stream. One of the things I'm best at. So yeah, that was me trying something new, and then it worked out, right?
Yeah.
So it's a lot of testing stuff and seeing, looking through different genres, and somebody makes one game, you look through all their other games and try those and see what else. Like you research a developer, and
Yeah.
that's really, yeah. It's a lot
Are
of
there
thinking
any
about that.
are there any analytics provided by Twitch that help you to do this?
Yeah, I mean, here I come. Twitch's analytics are also pretty bad, right? Like
Wow.
YouTube's are pretty amazing, right? Like YouTube has so much, because I did have a short stint at like trying to YouTube. I just didn't like YouTube content, but I didn't really have time to continue that. I'd like to do that in the future, but Twitch is getting a bit better. They give you like your average viewers, your follows, your unique viewers, your live views, and then they just really, I mean, if this doesn't tell you like kind of how behind Twitch is, I think they finally started giving you some like discovery analytics, like probably this year, like
Meaning
probably
how
not.
people found you?
Yeah, like how many views, how many impressions you got, which I think is, I don't even know what an impression is. I have to look that up. And how many views
That's whenever
you got.
they just look at you real quick, like they're kind of scrolling past you, but they don't click on you, I think.
Right.
That's as far as I
Yeah,
know. I
something
could
like
be
that.
wrong about that, but yeah.
Right. They give you like your views from impressions in various where it kind of came from, like category wise, or like where they recommended you um, within their own system. But it's not very detailed, right? It's not.
So that's not helping you pick games then.
No.
No.
No,
No.
it's not. It's helping you maybe pick categories. Maybe if you have like a few
Right.
categories you're in, I think it can help those people. Twitch is really focused on. It's not focused on people like me. It's not focused on like the niche retro streamer. It's
Right.
focused on people that are playing like Starfield and Fortnite and whatever, those big
Yeah.
games.
The big numbers.
Right.
You wouldn't happen to know Sancho West, would you?
I do not.
Fortnite guy. Okay, he seems to be huge, and I used to work with him. I know
cool.
that guy. So,
Yeah, I mean that's the thing about Twitch. There's tens of thousands of people that are very popular that you've just never heard of,
Yeah.
yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's
So
like
another aspect here, though, Andrew will follow up with this question. We have another question about the prep work on selecting games.
okay.
Go ahead.
All right. So so what do you find to be the most effective general length of playtime for audience retention and engagement?
Like the length of a stream, you mean?
Yeah.
Of a game, of a stream, right? Like something, like a Skyrim might be 200 hours,
Right. Okay. Yeah. So for me, I mean, everyone is going to be different, but I think it used to be you want to stream at least like 4 hours, and that's
Okay.
I haven't only streamed that in years. So I think now for me, I want to stream at least 6. I would like to really stream like 7 or 8 hours. Like, you put in your full day. If you can stream longer, but you don't kill yourself. But I would say minimum you need to be streaming like 3-4 hours to retain any sort of like because people are not always coming right when you show up. So you got to give it a good amount of time if you're just trying to grow on Twitch. And that's where it comes in, like get clips on TikTok, get content on YouTube. So people aren't only coming to you when you're live. But I mean, I'd really say, stream 6 hours, stream 4 to 6 hours. So people can find you. And so you can build up to a certain point. Really after like 2 hours, you'll kind of plateau a little bit, right? At least me, like after I start streaming, it kind of builds up, and then 2 hours is like my sort of more stable. It can keep going up, it can go down. That's where you actually start to get stable. But as far as like individual games,
So if you're picking a game, like you shooting for games that are, this is going to get me through 2 days of streaming a game potentially, or is this like, this is a 50-hour game that's too long for me to bother with? Like, I'm not sure how you look at that when picking.
Right. I think you got to feel it out. So I have played things like Skyrim, like done a full playthrough, and people definitely get tired of it after a few days, even just a few days. Right.
Okay.
You can tell there's like a waning interest. So normally I like to do, it depends if the game is exciting, if people are interested in it, keep going. But I think, and I only really started doing this recently, trying to put more variety into your variety stream. So like other people do this a lot better than me, but play like King's Quest on Monday, play an RPG, play Dungeon Master on Tuesday, play King's, switch it up, right? You can do a whole game for a day. I don't know about switching games in the middle of the day because people come for specific games. So if you play like King's Quest for 4 hours and then Dungeon Master for 4 hours, if there's no overlap, you're messing with your audience there. Like people are leaving, like people saw you're streaming King's Quest. They don't know you're streaming Dungeon Master. So they've left and you're kind of messing with your numbers, as they say. Right.
Okay.
But some people do that well. But for me, I think you want to play like one game on one day, unless it's terrible, then like punch out, right? Hit the eject button and switch to a different game. And that's normally okay. But normally I think you try to keep one type of audience on one stream. But I also think it's a good idea to not just play one game if you're variety for like 3 weeks, unless, you have that Bethesda audience or or maybe if you're playing Space Quest 1, Space Quest 2, Space Quest 3, Space Quest 4, that can kind of keep your audience. But, I don't know if I overanalyze it, but even then you sort of notice a fatigue,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I think you want to try to do variety, but maybe not within the same day.
Right.
You got to feel it out, right? You got to feel it out. There's a feeling when you're streaming, like you can kind of tell, like chat dies. If you're getting bored, right? If you're getting bored, people are normally getting bored. Or if there's something weird in the game, like if there's weird sounds, if there's if it's just kind of if it's a game that only you can understand, if you've seen every like second of it, right? Chat might be confused and leaving and going to watch something else. I think it's pretty complex, but in general, kind of those are my feelings on it.
So you're talking about the time here. So how many hours do you put in a week?
Let's see. A lot of times I got to pick up my kid from school, so I try to do at least 6 hours or 6 to 8 hours when I can. So I'll do 6 hours. I do, like, right now with the schedule that I have, it's normally 2 6s a week, and I think 3 8s. 2 6s and 3 8s.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pretty
For a
full
week.
days.
Has it made you like video games less?
No. Streaming has made me appreciate games a lot more. Like even bad games, right? I think when I started streaming, I was kind of a little more snarky on games. I'd be like, "This is a bad game. I hate this game." Right? And then as I started to play more and more obscure things and kind of explore more libraries, you sort of see like the artistry, right? Even in a terrible game, right? Like even a terrible game had people that maybe it has this incredible art, right? But the game is just awful because they just couldn't get that part. Or maybe there's this amazing like mechanic, right? That is only in this game where they do this thing this one way, and the rest, but like the art is terrible, right? Or it's not fun, or it's buggy. There's a developer called Cryo, right? And they're a French developer, and they make just the craziest games. And I randomly discovered them they have these weird adventure games, and they made an Aliens game, right? And it crashes
like a licensed game?
Yeah, it's called Aliens: A Comic Book Adventure, and it's a it's a ridiculous game. It's hilarious. In the beginning of the game, you're on the ship with like 3 other people, and you go and talk to them, and they're all like telling you how they hate other members of the crew and how they want to fight them, and it's just ridiculous. And it's like a kind of a dialogue thing, and then you land on the planet, and then it's this crazy 3D, like there's like the xenomorphs and all this like all this alien, all the technology and the cars, and it's like really cool, but like it crashes every 10 minutes. Right? Like it crashes every 10 minutes.
Were you able to finish that game, or did you have to quit?
It was horrible. It was horrible because there's this part where you can't save and you've got to fight the xenomorphs, or what are they called?
Xenomorphs. You're right.
But so this is a terrible game. Like it crashes every 10 minutes, but it has these amazing, it's so cool otherwise, right? That's one example. And it just really, it's made me, I'm way less harsh on games now, because you just kind of see like, someone worked really hard on this, and that part is really cool. This part is really cool. Like just the fact that they made this is like it's really fun to see. And as long as it's not too frustrating. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Gaming full time has made you like games even more. That's very interesting. I feel like once you turn anything into a job, generally it makes you start to hate it, but that has not happened in this case.
Yeah, no, it's made me want to play more, want to explore more, and
wow, okay,
and play more, and even appreciate games that I've played over and over again, right? Like with Sierra games again, I always go back to those because I guess I love those games the most. I'll play those and I'll still find new things. Like there's still new solutions or new Easter eggs I've never seen. So no, it's, I mean, I enjoy it more. Maybe I also like playing like with the chat, like experiencing the games with people too. Yeah, no, I'm not sick of games.
This is something that, like, asking before about the prep work that goes into selecting games, because I will say, like, I think you do an excellent job of selecting games. I think your curation is top notch, and that's why I like to watch. There are games that I would completely have passed over. I've seen you play a few, interesting sort of Eurojank games with crazy voice acting that,
Right.
like, I wouldn't have given it the time of day, but because I was like, oh, you know what? I'm going to have some lunch. I'll put this video on and be like, yeah, okay. By the time I'm finished my sandwich, I'm like, oh, I want to keep watching this. I don't want to be done right now. This is fun.
Right. Thanks.
So it's reaching your audience too.
To
Cool.
me, as like
Appreciate it.
like Mike and I talk about this a lot on the podcast. We have like the arcade in our heart, and
Okay.
like to me, whenever I pick up a controller, I throw away my patience immediately. Like video games are the absolute antithesis of patience to me. Like
Okay.
I feel like video games shouldn't require patience, but at the same time, I sometimes wonder, like, it does seem like, and maybe you can answer this, like some games are some games like terrible the first 10 hours and then get absolutely fucking incredible after that.
Final Fantasy
in-
Seven.
Yeah.
Well, that was just amazing at the time because it was a
I
huge
I just hated
generational
being
leap.
in Midgard.
I didn't. Well, in '97, I loved every second of that game, but now I don't know.
Back then, I didn't like being in that. I couldn't wait to get out and actually explore the world. But sorry, I'm
Oh,
stepping on the response here.
Yeah,
it's
I
okay.
mean, there are a lot of games that are kind of bad up front, and then
Yeah.
once you get over a certain point, like you're like, oh, it's kind of worth it. Like a lot of old 3D
Okay.
adventure games that I
Yeah.
played, like start off really slow, and then the last, 2 hours has the most hilarious, B movie, whatever, storyline that you've ever seen. Or
Mm.
there's a game called Mystery of the Druids, which is
Okay.
which is it's a bad game, but it's the most hilarious bad game you've ever played, which makes it amazing. It's like the most amazing. Like it's not good, but like you in that game you you give a man like medicinal alcohol or like that you make in a lab to take his change because he's a homeless guy and you need to make a call. Like that's a solution in the game, right? Like you drug this, or you got to throw salt on this thing that you got to throw salt on this like grave to make it on this. It makes no sense. It just the whole game makes no sense. But as you play it and things keep making no sense, right? Like it actually becomes good because it's so
Okay.
completely ridiculous, right? A lot of those
This is a
3D
point
adventure
and
games.
click. Oh, 3D adventure. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's a point click, sorry. But it's 3D,
Well, it's a-
right? So it's like it would be like the 2000s era when they moved away from the pixel art and moved into 3D. That era
Gotcha.
has the most boring but also like the most ridiculous adventure games as well. Just crazy weird
Okay.
storylines.
Cool.
Things really
I
kind of
wanna look
opened
up-
up then, and a lot more developers around the world were just putting stuff out.
Right.
3D made that a lot easier.
Right. Yeah.
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 So, we already did this one about how many hours weekly, right?
Yeah. So
okay.
I was curious about you mentioned earlier that you might have to just cut and run from a game. So like what experiences have you had where you've had to just abandon a game, and what were the reasons that would make you have to say, I got to stop. I can't do this.
Um really it would be like if there's the interface is just bad. I mean, I played a game today, Dungeon Master Nexus, which is like it's like a 3D RPG, but they gave it like a PC interface and it's just incredibly complex to control. It's a really cool game, but it was like
what format was it on? What
it's a
platform?
Saturn game, a Sega Saturn
Oh,
game.
okay. Yeah, because you
Oh,
said
wow.
it's a PC
Right.
interface, and I'm like, well,
Right,
shouldn't
sorry.
it be
Right. So so it's like you're moving like your hand around the screen, but then you're also turning it off and you're moving items all over the screen with like your controller. And like trying to equip items and then
Not the Knights controller,
the what? Oh,
not the
I didn't.
Knights analog
Oh
controller.
no, no, I don't. I didn't know there was one, but
It
that sounds
Oh
cool.
yeah.
Um,
might make it a little better, but yeah, that's not really
there's an
suitable to the
analog. Oh,
platform.
there's an analog one.
The Saturn analog controller came out with Knights 3D or whatever.
Okay, I don't know much about Saturn actually. I was just randomly
Oh
playing this
man.
dungeon crawler on it.
Oh, okay.
Um, but it was like painful to play. It was a really I love dungeon crawlers, but it was like painful, like to
Mm.
actually play it, right? So if in that situation, like it's a cool game, but like the interface is so bad, and
Mm.
you might just be like, I can't figure this out, right? It's something like that, or really if a game just isn't really that fun, if it's like mediocre,
Hmm.
I'll normally quit a game like if it's just mediocre, like if there's nothing interesting about it, if it's
Hmm.
just like plain.
Yeah.
I think that's when I really will quit. Like if there's nothing interesting to say about it, it looked cool, but it just isn't in practice.
Hmm.
Uh, I'm trying to think of
Okay.
one off the top of my head, but that's. I mean, like the Dungeon Master, like that'll happen when it just has like bad controls, or but it can still be good. I still think the game's cool, but really mediocrity, like not good, but also not bad enough to
Hmm.
be good either. Like nothing.
Yes. Like you
Middle
want
of the
that
road's
if it's going
worst.
to be bad, you want it to be that B movie camp fun,
Right.
kind of ridiculous. Let's have a
Yeah.
laugh at this samurai cop or whatever.
Yeah, for me, like I want something where we can talk about how weird that was or how funny it is. For me, that's
Hmm.
that's what I like. And some games are just kind of like, mediocre. Or even I'm looking at my list when I was playing through the Tenshus, right? Tenshu
Hmm.
1 is so cool. Tenshu 2 is
Yeah.
pretty cool too. And then it just kind of becomes like kind of generic feeling after that, right? So like the
Mm.
PS2 Tenshus or
Yeah.
I was like a little bit like, well, okay, where I'm just going through the motions here, right? Like, okay, I'm a ninja
Hmm.
and I'm doing the same thing. Like, there's nothing interesting about it. Whereas Tenchu 1, there's like
Hmm.
blood splattering all over the place whenever you kill anyone. There's like people saying ridiculous things. There's like
Yeah, the
ridiculous
voice acting
translated.
was awesome.
Right,
Lots of fun.
right. So like Tenchu Wrath of Heaven for PS2 was like supposed to be amazing, but I preferred the first one. I actually got bored during that other one because
Mm.
it just didn't have that like that spark that it needed, or like something anything really special about it to me. So
Yeah.
I loved the Tenchu series, and yeah, the first one was very special, and it had an awesome soundtrack. That like full orchestral kind of,
oh yeah,
with singing also like during gameplay and all that. It was really new at the time for sure,
oh yeah,
and it was just a badass ninja game. It was just great.
yeah. And that's not to say that like Wrath of Heaven's bad or like the PS2 ones are
Yeah,
bad. Like they're really good for their time, but maybe
Hmm.
not
yeah,
special enough to keep like my interest for a stream. Like for a stream is
yeah.
different than like, oh, I played this
Yeah.
when it came out, right? A stream is
Yeah.
different for me
Mm.
than, or even if I'm just playing it like off the stream. Like you want
So
you want it to be have a certain feel for the stream for me. But yeah, that first Tenchu is still good. It's still pretty awesome.
that you mentioned off the stream, and that leads into another good question. I'll
Yeah, I
let
was thinking
Andrew
that. Yeah,
take this on.
yeah. This is a natural segue. Like, does this your streaming for or your gaming for streaming get in the way of your personal game time? Do you still have personal game time, or is it eaten up entirely by your job?
It used to. It used to be like, I can't stream this because I can't play this because I got to stream it.
Mm.
Right.
But I think you need to relax. Like I think as a streamer, you have to take
Mm,
something that you will play off your stream, right? So
Mm.
because that's what we like to do, right? That's what I like to do to relax, like play a game. So I used to play like card games on my phone, or it would be like little things that I would never stream. So like, oh, I might want to stream this, I might want to stream that. But then I sort of
Mm.
narrowed my vision on streaming to right, like to certain types of games. And I was like, okay,
Mm.
well, I'll play Baldur's Gate 3 off stream, right? I don't have to play that on stream. Or I'll play Elden Ring off stream, right? Like I don't have to stream that. I could, but I think I think that's important to if you want to play games off stream for your leisure
Mm.
time, like just say like I'm just not going to play this on my stream, right? Or I could do a second
Mm.
playthrough on my stream. But for a
Yeah, I think the
long
second playthrough thing. It works out nicely there.
Yeah, you can do that. I mean,
Let yourself enjoy it however you need to at
yep.
first.
For a long time, yeah, I was like, I would think about games and I would be like, I don't really, this kind of sucks. I used to sit at home and look through like SNES games and just play whatever. And now I'm
Mhm.
like, I have to save this for my stream. And I don't know, it's just games. Or like, it's not life or death, but um,
Right.
I don't think that's a good mentality to just be like,
Mhm.
you have to stream everything.
Mhm.
It's
Right.
not a fun mentality. It's not a fun mentality anyway. So, just, you can play stuff off stream. It's okay. I've had to teach myself that.
That's cool.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
All right, so we want to take a little time to talk about some of the logistics of the work you do. So earlier we touched upon the subject before we started recording really quickly on the OBS and all. So what equipment are you using, right? What physical equipment, what software, what kind of investment, financial investment was required to get started here?
Not much. I mean, if you're going to stream, you just find a cheap mic, find a cheap camera. If you want to use a camera, you don't have to.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you don't need much. I think you would have like maybe a couple monitors helps because you can have like your OBS. So you use OBS. Most people use OBS, Open
Mm-hmm.
Broadcaster Software, which is free. It's like a great, amazing piece of software. It's constantly updated and tons of features. It's just gotten better and better over the years. So that is, you're going to use that, right? Like just use
Mm-hmm.
OBS. Like there's other possibilities, but don't mess with them. Like you just get OBS if you're gonna
Right.
stream, right? It's like it's perfect, right? Other
Mm-hmm.
companies have kind of tried to fork that off and tried to make some money off of that, but you just use OBS to record yourself, and there's tons of
Mm-hmm.
plugins for that. So OBS is really great. Um, I started with a headset mic
Mm-hmm.
thing, like a $30 headset mic, or I think I used a PlayStation 3i camera at first for my camera.
Mm.
Um, you can just that's all you need. You just need the basics, something cheap,
Mm-hmm.
and then you see if you like it. And then eventually, I got a better mic, but this mic is
Mm-hmm.
like 7 years old. It's like the Blue Yeti, which was the style at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, um, but
So it
yeah, I
sounds
mean,
like it
not
wasn't too
much
much of a
investment.
financial
No,
investment.
no, not much of investment. I've been using the same mic for 7 years, and I upgraded my camera recently. I used to just
Mm-hmm.
have like $50 camera or something, and upgraded that recently because it was on sale. And you don't really need much. You don't really need
So
much.
you
Just
you mentioned before that you were playing that dungeon game on Saturn. Are you playing everything on the PC, or are you using original hardware mixed in too?
original hardware is fun, but it can also kind of be a pain. So
I
if I
would
can
imagine.
emulate, even if I own the game, right, like
Mm-hmm.
I'll just emulate
Mm-hmm.
Right.
to because it's just easier. You can do save states if you get in trouble, so you don't have to replay hours and hours and hours.
Yeah.
But that is another one thing I did buy was this old capture card they used to make from Japan. It's called an SC Micom Soft SC512 that can take like any
Mm-hmm.
input, and I've had that since probably 2016 or so. That was a good investment for when you want to
Hmm.
do a capture card's a good investment if you want to do real hardware. But
Yeah.
there are like different devices you can buy now. One's called a RetroTink. You can pretty much plug anything into that, and then you can just get any HDMI capture card now. Like you don't need that old thing, but I still have that
Yeah.
for
There's a new
capture.
RetroTink 4K coming soon too.
Right?
That's
Yeah. It's
that's gonna
supposedly
have
it's
a
gonna be
hefty price
expensive.
tag, but man, is it
Right.
looking nice.
Those things are cool. I did get a RetroTink. Those things are really awesome.
Yeah.
So that there's stuff like that you can get, but to stream, all you
Mm-hmm.
really need is like your computer and probably a microphone, just a microphone, because there's filters that can make any microphone sound good, like built into OBS. It might not
Oh,
sound
cool.
great.
How
Like I'm terrible at audio, but the
Mm.
filters help me get through it.
Hmm.
So did that
how
answer the question?
how
Yeah. Yeah.
how long did it take for you to kind of be able to live off of it?
Right. Um,
Like a few
so
months, a year? several
No, I
years?
mean, when I started, I was just doing it. I was doing it for fun. I mean, so I started streaming because I wanted to see if I could be good at it and like be
Mm-hmm.
successful. But then I realized I liked it, and like I had other jobs, so it was kind of just for fun.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it was 2018, I started getting sponsored offers. And
Mm-hmm.
some of these sponsorships are like a surprising amount of, it's like a surprising amount of money, right? For
Did the
Yeah.
some of these
sponsorships
sponsorships.
exceed what you would get through Twitch directly?
Um, I think they do. I don't,
Hmm.
oh, sponsorships definitely do now. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Sponsorships are
Okay.
like the main thing that I've, over the past couple years in particular,
mm-hmm.
sponsorships are like the main way that, I earn a living through Twitch. Everyone is
Okay.
different. Everyone is different. Some people, they don't do any, right?
Right.
And some people don't do any sponsorships, but I really like doing that because I
Mm-hmm.
feel like I'm working. It's like right.
Right.
I feel like I'm doing a job, right? So I've tried to get as good as I can at those, as at doing sponsorships, right? Like putting the links in the chat and sharing them other places, and various things you can do there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it was really, yeah, I started getting sponsored offers back in 2018, and I really just tried to get as many of those as I could, right? So I
Yeah.
tried to find them anywhere they existed, right? And new places to find them kept popping up, and they keep popping up. Like there's been new ones last year. There's been, new places this year, and
And what year
if
did you
you,
start?
I started streaming 2015, and
Okay, so
I
about
think,
3 years in, it starts really picking up.
yeah, and I think I've been really full time end of 2019 was when I really like
Gotcha.
was like supporting myself right through
Mm.
it.
Then it was
Um,
perfect for the pandemic,
Yeah.
yeah,
right? Like,
right,
wow,
yeah,
you were teed up for that.
yeah, yeah. I think that was a boost, and then it was like things went backwards, and you had to like mentally be like, you had to mentally manage a step back.
Mm-hmm.
That was good though, because that teaches you like when you're streaming, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
everything you have, you can lose it tomorrow, right? That's the
Uh
weird
huh.
that's the weird thing about it, about content. Anybody doing content, you
Yeah.
can lose everything you have the next day. So that's always in the back of my mind. um but yeah, it from when I started, yeah, about uh 4 years, 4 years, and then I was able to go full time with I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I have a lot of support on my channel too, but it's that and sponsorships,
Right.
really.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm a little curious about what those numbers look like when you're dealing with things like bits and subs and prime subs. Like it's weird to me because I subscribe to Amazon Prime, and then I get a Prime sub to use every month, but it's Amazon, right? And they own Twitch. So it's kind of like, are they taking a cut from the Prime sub? Even though that's them? Are they taking, what are their cuts on all of these things? Like, I'm not sure how that all works,
Right.
what
Prime
numbers we're
sub
looking at.
The prime sub is just they give a streamer $2.50 for the sub.
So even though that money comes from them, they're still taking a cut of the money that they're giving.
So they're giving you, so a sub is normally someone paying $5 and you get half of it. Depending, you can get
Mm-hmm.
60%, you can get 70%, depending on the tier sub. But a sub is normally, you normally get less than that. You normally get half of a $5 sub minus
Mm-hmm.
fees. So you actually get 40, what was it, 46%. So
Mm.
a prime sub, you actually get the full 250. So
Okay.
right, it's like that money would go to them anyway. So it's a way for them to provide kind of a cheap benefit through
Mm-hmm.
the streamer. The streamer gets that extra, 4 cents.
Mm.
So that's fine.
And so is that standard on things like bits too?
Oh yeah,
I've
yeah.
never
So
really explored how the bits worked.
right, so okay, right. So there's subs and you get a percentage of the subs. Bits are the viewer pays a fee and you get the full amount. So I think it's
Okay.
$20 to buy 1,500 bits. So you're spending $20 to give a streamer or streamers some combination of $15. The 100 bits is $1.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's their form of like virtual currency, but don't say that because they'll get in trouble with like the IRS.
Gotcha. But so then the best way for someone who wants to support a streamer would be to buy the bits because you get the full on that.
Yeah, the best way if you're trying to, so anything is fine because with a sub you also don't have to watch ads and you get
Mm-hmm.
emotes.
Yeah.
Bits are you pay the fee, but most streamers also have like donations through
Mm-hmm.
like PayPal, and then on PayPal has the lowest amount of fees.
Mm-hmm.
There's also this new thing called a hype chat where you can get your name pinned in a chat, but then Twitch takes 33% of that, so that's not the best.
That's more than Epic and Apple went to court over.
Right. It's
Jeez.
that one's a little
man.
strange, but Twitch is trying that out. I don't know how popular that is, because I pretty much have it turned off. But yeah, yes, whatever you want to do, that's my opinion of it. Whatever a person wants to do to support your stream, if they just want to watch, that helps too, right? Just watching supports you, and you know,
Do you feel like you need to be entertaining, or do you just feel like you have to be engaging with your chat? That's more important than being entertaining.
Right. It's an interesting question because I think some streamers try to put on a show,
Yeah.
and they'll have components of their stream, like interactive components, which are entertaining, and they're putting on a show, like sound effects or visual effects, or you switch to a funny scene, or there's things people can redeem, like for watching the stream, you get channel points, and then they can redeem funny things, right, or redeem things that happen. There's that, and then I think it depends on what you like to do, right? For me, I'm like half and half on that. I've tried a lot of different things, but I'm half on like doing a funny, weird thing, to kind of break up the monotony sometimes, or not necessarily monotony, but like just
variety.
to spark to spark something funny happening, or to spark something interesting happening. And then also like I like to watch streams that are just chill people playing a cool game, right? I think for me, I create a stream that I want to watch. Has always been my philosophy, right? Like, so other streams that do these crazy things like might be really popular, but I can't do that. You kind of get in where you fit in the stream world. If you can do that, then and that's popular, do that. But for me, I just sort of do what I enjoy, which is kind of old school, like people playing cool games. And I think you see how many people also like the thing that you like when you're doing a stream, right? And you can test things out. I've tested things out, and some jokes only go so far with me, right? So I get tired. So I kind of just I've gravitated over time back to just the chilled out playing games and doing having a few silly things here and there.
Okay.
So I don't really think about being entertaining. I just, at this point, I just kind of do my stream, and if I have an idea, I'll test it out and see how it goes.
Okay. Yeah, I guess there's two schools of thought on that.
Yeah.
But it seems like, especially if you're dealing with the chat, it might be just better to just be chill and engaging. That's, I don't know. I've never really done it, but that's what it seems like might be best.
You find your audience with whatever you're best at, right? Some people are good at talking about space, and they do a stream talking about space for 2 hours. And some people just have like, the wacky time show of crazy, insane things happening the whole time, right? And you just you kind of try different things and see what sticks.
Do you put like entertainer on like your taxes or like other important documents? Like, what's the job title you put on there?
Content creator.
Content creator.
Yeah,
Okay.
content creator, I think, is the title.
Are you an independent contractor? Do you technically work for them?
No, independent. Yeah.
So what about
Okay.
all those like standard sort of benefits? What do you do about things like health insurance, retirement plans? What about unemployment as an independent contractor?
I mean,
You said you could lose it the next day. So
right. I mean, I pay my taxes. I think as a streamer, you always have a backup plan. I've always had backup plans, and right, like you don't do it if you're not saving money and you don't have your next step already planned, or you're looking toward that next step. I'd be lying if I said, when I think about being a streamer full time, that's like I'm entirely comfortable with that. Right. But it's been working out, and it's enabled me, freedom in my life that has really been helpful, like for family reasons and all that.
Yeah.
But if you pay your taxes, I think you still get unemployment. I've never gotten it.
Hopefully you don't ever have to deal with any of
right.
that. But
we don't have to get in the nitty gritty of all that. I just wondering about the job title stuff.
Right. No, I mean, if I'm in a place where I get health insurance, so I just buy it. Right. All that stuff. Yeah. I'm able to take care of that. It's not as easy if you have, right, like a corporate job. But
you're like a freelancer essentially, and you take out your own insurance.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's basically a freelance job, freelance gig. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wonder if you guys could ever unionize.
That would be wild. Twitch streamer union.
There's just
Twitch
too many.
union.
There's too many streamers. I don't know. I don't know how we'd come together.
Yeah, that changed the dynamic entirely. I mean, it's interesting to think about. What things could Twitch and Amazon do to make your life better as a streamer?
Probably higher cut on subs. Is like the main one. That's the main one people have been talking about, because subs are like the core recurring, salary, right?
It's the source of income.
Reliable subs are like the reliable recurring income. So the higher cut on subs would be very good. But otherwise, Twitch does a really good job at the technical aspects of their site. Like it used to be pretty rough to use. It would go out a lot. But I mean, Twitch is really like the technical aspects of streaming. I think they've really nailed it pretty well. The site works great most of the time. As far as what they can do to make it easier,
I would think they've got a lot of support from Amazon Web Services.
Yeah.
Probably, I assume. Probably like better analytics, better discovery, higher cut on subs.
But yeah, no, that makes sense. I mean, hey, put more money in these people's pockets because they need money to survive. Like, that's perfectly fair.
Yeah, but, it's a hard question because it's really like it's a world where you want to be seen everywhere. So like, does Twitch have to do everything for you? Like, do they need to have like a TikTok-esque thing where you can look at clips? Do they need to do they need to give you discovery, or do you need to like do that yourself through other social media avenues? I'm not sure. I mean, the site works, and that's the main thing. Yeah.
All right, that's cool. So let's round this out with a very important question. What game stands out as your most memorable streaming experience?
My memorable stream? It was probably that Capri game that I mentioned earlier, where I did an unfortunate imitation of the wonderful Italian people. It was a mistake. It was a mistake. I know it was a mistake. I was a younger streamer at the time. That one sticks out.
Came after you.
Someone commented on the YouTube videos. They were very angry, and they wondered why I thought the power plants run on spaghetti, and I just was like, it's a joke. It's a joke. It's a bad joke. I shouldn't have done
That's
the
all
joke.
right.
It's
I'll call
memorable.
all my fellow Italians and tell them to ease off. No,
Yeah,
no problem.
right. It was memorable because it was both a silly game, and also I kind of learned, like, there's a certain place you don't take it to, and I maybe took it a little
Right.
too far.
Yeah.
Right.
Everyone learns somehow. That was memorable. There's random games, just like the disaster report games on PS2 are hilarious.
There's a lot of those, aren't there? Like 4 or 5 already?
There's 2. Oh yeah. The 2 on the PS2 are really the only good ones.
Okay.
The Mysteries of the Druids game, some of those cryo games. There's been a lot of really funny games. Yeah, but I guess the Capri one, just because. Yeah, for many reasons.
For good and bad reasons.
Yeah.
But very memorable.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Tom, thank you so much for coming on to talk with us about this and really let everyone know all the inner workings of how it is to be a Twitch streamer and deal with these things. So we really do appreciate it.
I really had a lot to learn here also, so thank you. I was really coming from almost zero on this, so yeah, it was awesome talking about it and learning.
Sure, yeah.
Everybody listening and checking out the stuff at home, it's RetrogradeTom, and you can find that on all the different social media outlets, whatever. It's going to be the same name, which is very convenient.
That's awesome.
Yep, cool. Yeah, thanks for having me. Yeah, it was a good time.
All right, so that was our interview with RetrogradeTom, Twitch streamer extraordinaire. So thank you for listening to that, and be sure to check his channel out. It has some really, really interesting stuff. A lot of different games that you would probably never see otherwise.
Yeah, I personally learned a lot. I mean, it's not just about Twitch streaming, but also, the point and click stuff and the adventure games and a lot of that stuff in the 90s and on the PC side. I was mainly a console guy, so learning about some of those games like Capri and the Druid game, Mystery of the Druid, that was really cool. Yeah, so thanks for coming on, Tom, and I guess we'll see you later.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
All right, let's end it, man. About to eat some dinner. I know, I got to get to my audition.